Aloha from the beautiful Big Island of Hawaii. I'm Corey Gala, and this is Let's Talk About Health. Thank you for joining me again this week. We're going to be finishing up our discussion about depression, and we will be talking a little bit about anxiety. And I'm really excited today because I will have my guest, Carol. She's going to be joining us via Zoom. Our little, with the COVID and our quarantine situation, we're going to go ahead and meet her via Zoom, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about her experience in the spa industry and how essential oils have been part of her life. And so I look forward to what she's going to share with us today. Okay, so following up with a little bit what we were getting into last week, depression. Where we left off, I was talking about the increase in depression and anxiety due to COVID. And so we're seeing a widespread depression and anxiety in the United States. And so I was discussing really briefly about the DSM and criteria that doctors look for, or psychologists look for, to see if you are actually going to be diagnosed with depression or anxiety, actually. Now that we are going to go ahead and talk about both of them a little bit in this show. I wasn't able to finish up with depression last time. I was getting into, I had talked a little bit about side effects for antidepressants. And again, I think I was discussing with you briefly the phenomena that has happened since, I guess, 2000, maybe a little bit before, where more and more primary care physicians are diagnosing depression. And there's a number of issues with antidepressants. So we were going through a little bit of the side effects for antidepressants last time. And some of those are, nausea, increased appetite and weight gain, loss of sexual desire and other sexual problems, fatigue, insomnia, blurred vision, constipation, dizziness, agitation, irritability, anxiety. But then what we were saying was what can even be worse than that is withdrawal symptoms. So again, I did mention there is a legal investigation going on that is investigating a possible link between antidepressant and depressant withdrawal and some of the school shootings that we've been seeing. And although nothing has been confirmed one way or the other, there is currently an ongoing legal investigation. So one of the things you need to understand, if you do opt to take antidepressants, know that you can't just go off of antidepressants. You do need to be tapered off of antidepressants, and you do need to do that under a physician's care. So some of the withdrawal symptoms are flu-like symptoms. Your original symptoms can actually worsen. You can have suicide ideation where you really start thinking about suicide. So you may have felt a little bit of grief, a little bit of sorrow and sadness before, but if you do go off of the antidepressants, you can start to have suicide ideation. Other symptoms get worse, so there could be headaches, pain, insomnia, anxiety, fatigue, nightmares, trouble sleeping, depression, mood swings, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal cramping, and sweating. So not a lot of fun getting off of antidepressants, for sure. Of course, that being said, if you are having issues and you are displaying symptoms of severe clinical depression, make sure you are seen. You do need treatment, especially if you're having any thoughts of suicide. I had been discussing a little bit last time about grief and the grieving process and how it's a natural process, and how a lot of what's going on in our country right now with COVID, we have huge job loss. There's lockdown, there's a social isolation for the kids. The kids aren't in school right now, so they're not able to be with their friends, they're not playing, they're not with their teachers, they're out of their routine. Parents are home, they're trying to homeschool. there's a lot of pressure. So again, that's where we were talking about the anxiety coming in. So they kind of play off of each other. Oftentimes you see depression and anxiety at the same time. That would be like a comorbid situation. Sometimes prolonged anxiety can lead to depression. So this pandemic has really put a lot of people under a lot of stress and strain. Again, I briefly talked about misdiagnosis, and that there are a number of conditions that can look like depression that aren't actually depression. And again, we discussed having your doctor make sure they're doing a full blood workup. But then I had recommended like integrative medicine or integrative therapy and naturopathic doctors, or say an MD who's also a naturopath. And sometimes there's acupuncturists who are naturopaths and MDs, or any kind of combination. And because a natural practitioner generally looks at the parameters of blood work a little bit different than, say, a primary care physician, and sometimes they can pick up subtle imbalances that your primary care physician might not be looking for. So it could be something that could be just a slight intervention, a slight tweak of something, maybe something in your diet, maybe a nutrient that you might not be getting enough of, and so they may be able to intervene before it leads into a really severe clinical situation. Again, I did bring up counseling for grieving. So counselors are there to really help you process. And, you know, with COVID, we are going through an actual grieving process. So counselors are really kind of like a first step. I would recommend, or I wouldn't recommend, but I would suggest it's awfully good to go find a counselor, a psychologist. You want to find a licensed psychologist who can work with you with some of these issues. And then, of course, they can refer you out if you need more in-depth medical care. Often they will refer you to a psychiatrist. But again, working with a natural physician is something that I like to incorporate, because there are all of these other aspects that come into play that oftentimes a natural approach can get you results, maybe without having to have drastic interventions. So I did talk briefly about some of the issues that can look like depression that are not depression. So again, last week we did look at some of the issues that can present as depression but are not depression. And again, that's why it is nice to get second opinions. And I do like seeing a licensed psychologist, also possibly a natural physician, to make sure that you really are treating the correct issue. So then, looking at alternatives, according to Psychiatric Times magazine, I found an article investigating SAM-E for depression. And SAM-E was a product that a friend of mine who is a psychiatrist had talked about. And it is an article written by Richard P. Brown, MD, and he's the co-author of Stop Depression Now. SAM-E is the breakthrough supplement that works as well as prescription drugs in half the time. And that's what he states, and that's according to evidence-based research that he has seen. SAM-E is approved as a prescription drug in Spain, Italy, Russia, and Germany. It's non-toxic, without side effects, and it is supposed to be better and faster than traditional medications. SAM-E is a physiological essential compound that is crucial to 3 pathways of metabolism, one of which has been shown in animal studies to boost the levels of serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, which are all essential in combating depression. So these are these neurotransmitters that you hear about. These are really important neurotransmitters that elevate mood and help combat depression. So he is stating that based on research that they have found that this is a natural compound that we actually produce, and you can supplement with it, and it has been shown to be very, very effective. And as I was reading the article more, what was stated is that it is a little bit, insurance doesn't cover it. So because of the cost and because insurance doesn't cover it, oftentimes, patients will opt for antidepressants. But again, this is, he claims, an antidepressant in Europe, that is a prescription medication. You can find it at Walmart. It's something you can ask your doctor about or ask a natural physician about if you do want to look into an alternative treatment. I just wanted to go ahead and tell you a little bit about it. As far as serotonin is our neurotransmitter that regulates mood, happiness, helps regulate with anxiety, and low levels of serotonin are linked to depression. There's other ways to bring up serotonin. I'm sure you've heard of exercising, raises your serotonin levels. Dopamine is known as the feel-good neurotransmitter, and that contributes to pleasure and satisfaction. It's part of the brain's reward system. And then the norepinephrine neurotransmitter is associated with alertness and arousal. Low levels can lead to depression, ADHD, and low blood pressure. So again, these neurotransmitters are really important, and so that is one of the things that when you are being prescribed psychotropic medications, that is what they are. Those medications are to try to regulate those neurotransmitters in the brain. And again, that is called SAMe. Feel free to research it on your own. You can ask your doctor about it if it's something that you think that you might want to try an alternative. Okay, so talking about the neurotransmitters being the regulators of our mood, the regulators of our brain. So with anxiety and depression, our chemistry changes. And an interesting thing to note is that we can actually get addicted to our own chemistry, this release of chemicals. So you ever heard the expression, adrenaline junkie, or they're addicted to adrenaline, right? So somebody who has radical experiences, who loves like extreme sports, they do get this rush of adrenaline, right? We have this fight or flight response in the system, kind of hits the adrenal glands, and we get this fight or flight, right? We get this burst of adrenaline, and some people find a rush from that. So, maybe, I don't know, I like to surf, I like big waves, so I do get an adrenaline rush from surfing. So skydiving or rock climbing or, a lot of these extreme sports do give you this burst of adrenaline, and, our own chemistry can become addicting. So if you think about depression or anxiety, we can get into a pattern of behavior where over a prolonged period of time, we get addicted to our own chemicals, so to speak. So that's where we really need to kind of figure out what's going on with the chemistry, but then also look at our behavior patterns, our patterns of thinking, shifting our behavior, shifting into a behavior management. So we can actually change our own thinking patterns by using techniques such as meditation or guided visualization. The brain, if you think about when, say you're having a nightmare, say you're having a dream, I don't want to say that the brain can't completely distinguish between, or isn't capable of distinguishing between reality and imagination. However, when we are in a deep state of like a dream state or a deep state of imagination or visualization, we do release those positive chemicals or negative chemicals, right? If you're having a nightmare, you wake up screaming, you have that like adrenaline rush, that fear, right? That is rushing through your body. You are experiencing it as though it's happening in that moment. And that's why visualization is such a wonderful technique to help calm the mind, to soothe the mind, to uplift the mind and our thinking. So there are numerous guided meditations you can find online on YouTube. There is one in particular that I really like for grief that I've used personally for grieving loss, and I found it very beneficial. It takes you out of the place where you are and allows you to go into your mind, and it actually can uplift and shift the mood. And when we're having that uplift and change in mood, that's actually changing our chemistry. So that when we do that over a period of time consistently, we're forming a new pattern of behavior. So again, my background is in behavior science. And so I did mention briefly that I wanted to talk about brain plasticity. And so brain plasticity is really the way that the brain organizes itself, the way that the neurons link up, right? How the brain shapes itself, how the brain forms itself. So every time we incorporate these new behaviors over a period of time, the brain actually adapts and changes and shifts so that it becomes more the norm. So with regular attention to our mood, we are actually able to reshape and retrain our brain and shift the chemistry that's going on in our body. But it's not something you can ignore. You know, if you're going through these things, you definitely want to seek help. You definitely want to, like I said before, have a naturopath, doctor, a counselor, psychologist. You want to be working with somebody, but there are these techniques that we can incorporate into our life. So daily rituals would be something like, regular visualization for if you are, grieving the loss of your job, say, doing a visualization for grief, or doing a relaxation video in the evening if you are having high levels of stress and anxiety. And I think right now is a good time to take a quick break from a commercial break, and we're going to go ahead and hear from our sponsor, and we'll be back in just a minute.
Many people are searching for answers to health challenges. There are natural solutions for a healthy and empowered lifestyle that can be delivered right to your door. Email Carol at carolbirchwale.com and type Health with Corey in the subject line to receive a free ebook on essential oils. Visit carolbirchwale.com and connect with Carol via email for your free ebook. She will help you find the natural solutions that work specifically for you.
Okay, coming back from the break. Before we went on break, we were discussing shifting and changing the brain, visualization, reshaping, retraining the brain, and engaging in activities to change our behavior patterns. So, of course, you always want to be checking in, with your diet. You want to be eating well, you want to be getting enough rest, you want to be getting enough sleep, you want to be exercising regularly. Sleep is very, very important. So we have been talking a little bit about, depression and how that's on the rise with COVID. And I do want to talk a little bit about anxiety, of course, that, can be excessive worry, right? Too much worry, it can lead to panic attacks. It can lead to all sorts of health problems. It raises the cortisol levels in the body, which can shift the whole system and cause all kinds of other health issues. If you are worried about things, you have anxiety, you might have really a lot of trouble sleeping. If you're losing sleep, there's going to be other health issues. If you're having extreme panic attacks and extreme paranoia, again, you may go into your doctor. You may be prescribed a sedative. A really common sedative is benzodiazepine. Now, benzodiazepine, one that most people are familiar with, is Valium. That has a longer half-life than, say, Xanax. Xanax is another benzodiazepine, but these are all like tranquilizers. They're all sedative drugs. And so if you are going through an extreme panic attack, or you haven't been able to sleep, or you just really need to calm down, it's really to help you with a stressful event. But it is not according to the American Medical Journal, it's not meant to be prescribed for like long-term use. So sometimes people get into this, pattern where they are being prescribed benzodiazepines for a really long period of time, and you really want to research that and investigate that a bit deeper. You want to make sure if you begin taking any kind of benzodiazepine, really talk to your doctor or your psychologist, your psychiatrist. I guess your psychologist wouldn't be writing a prescription, but do understand that according to the American Medical Journal, it's not supposed to be prescribed for longer than a 2-week period, and within that 2-week period, there should be a taper off schedule written into your prescription. So some people end up on benzodiazepines for a very, very long time, and there are all sorts of very detrimental side effects for prolonged use. So they really are not meant for prolonged use, but like say you are just scared to death to fly and you have to fly across country. It might be that would be a situation where it might be okay, you want to take a sedative or tranquilizer. If you're having an extreme panic attack and you haven't slept in a month, it may be something to calm you down temporarily while you work with another professional to figure out ways to manage your anxiety. One of the big issues with benzodiazepines is the risk of seizure. If you have been taking them for a prolonged period of time and you go off of them suddenly, you can have a seizure. So it's a very, very strong and potent sedative. But understand it is a tranquilizer, it is a sedative. It is for calming, but it's not for daily use. So if you do have extreme anxiety, you're having panic attacks, can be very scary. You feel just like you're having a heart attack. You can't breathe, you're spinning, you're dizzy, you might have pains in your body, things of that nature. You definitely want to seek medical care, but you really do, again, always want to research medication before you take medication and really understand the way that it is to be used. You just want to make sure that you're not using it for a really prolonged period of time. You really are supposed to be getting that follow-up care with a specialist to make sure that you're able to regulate your system. So again, thinking about the Hippocratic Oath and first do no harm, my approach, for me personally, I tend to always seek out a natural practitioner prior to maybe say a more intensive medication. That being said, if you're having extreme panic attacks, you can't sleep, things of that nature, then you definitely do want to get something to calm you down and make sure you're getting some rest, and then you're getting the care and treatment that you need. So I never want to suggest that you avoid treatment. You absolutely want to make sure that you're getting treated, but just being aware of things that you can do to manage so you don't get yourself to the point of having an extreme nervous breakdown or very, very scary panic attacks, or where you can't sleep for a month and you can't eat and you've lost 20 pounds. I mean, these are all things that can happen if you're dealing with extreme anxiety. And there's certain conditions that we're seeing right now in the world can lead to that. Could lead to that. It's really scary for a lot of people out there right now. They don't have their jobs, they don't know really necessarily how they're going to pay the bills, how they're going to take care of the kids. So, anxiety can be a real problem. So deep breathing exercises are really excellent. The visualizations, like I said, YouTube has a number of guided meditations and visualizations and things that you can do for anxiety and stress. Getting to bed early, eating well, avoiding lots of caffeinated beverages and sugars, and making sure you're eating really good, whole, nourishing foods. I hope to have a guest on in the near future to discuss with you making really healthy choices with your diet and your nutrition. It can be difficult to know. There's an awful lot of information out there if you're thinking about healthy eating and what is healthy and vegan and vegetarian and what is it, high protein, low carb, high carb, low protein, no protein, not no protein, right? But vegetarian or animal protein versus plant protein. And so diet can be really, really confusing. And there's a lot of different ideas about diet. But, you just wanting to make sure that you're getting all of your nourishment, all the nutrients that you need, that you're getting enough rest, that you're drinking really good, pure water, lots of water throughout the day, that you're getting enough exercise. And enough exercise is really going to be different, depending on who you are as an individual. But at least 3 times is I like to say 5 times a week, but 3 to 5 times a week, and more if you can. But even just really long walks. And again, with our situation with the pandemic, I think right now most states are allowing people outdoors for exercise, right? To get some exercise. Long walks are excellent, hikes are excellent, long walk, meaning, going for a good hour walk, a brisk walk. Running can be difficult for some people depending on your age and your health, right? It can be difficult on the joints. It can cause a lot of pressure and strain on the joints. And, really get your heart rate going. It's good to get your heart rate going, but, swimming is a nice gentle exercise, bike riding. All of these things also help increase the feel-good chemicals in the brain, right? Getting enough exercise, getting enough sleep, drinking good water, eating good foods. So those are things that you can do in your home to help manage and maintain yourself so that you can focus and think clearly and make good decisions. Right now, with everything happening, you want to make sure you're making really clear and good decisions, and keeping your mood up is a really good way to be making. And so again, you do want to try to go ahead and keep your spirits up and keep in a good mood. And so also, I am going to be having my guest on today, Carol, who is going to be giving us some suggestions for self-care that you can do at home to help with, kind of keep your spirits up a bit. But one of the things that I like to do for myself, especially when we're dealing with so much stress, I find for me, if I'm feeling a little stressed or a little down, it really helps me a lot, is to make myself a beautiful ritual bath. So I have a lovely soak tub I love, and I like to use Epsom salts. Epsom salts are rich in magnesium. Magnesium helps relax the muscles. So if you get some tension from stress, pain in the body, and if you are having any kind of grief or feeling a little bit low, it's very calming. It has a very calming effect. Sometimes if you are feeling sad and grieving, you can actually have physical pain associated with that. And, of course, with stress, you can get a buildup of lactic acid in the tissues, and your muscles can get really tense. So Epsom salts are a really great way with warm bath water, and then use the Epsom salts are, magnesium, which again helps to calm and relax muscles, can help with sleep. And then I like to add a variety of essential oils for, they have a wonderful scent to them. They're very, I guess, scent is one of those amazing senses that we have that can kind of take us back to a beautiful time in our life, a really happy place. You can smell something in the kitchen and it can remind you of your grandma when you were little. So it does work on our memory. But also, if we're thinking about essential oils, and essential oils are like the hormones of plants and flowers, right? You have these terpenes, and they do go in through the nose, through inhaling, and then they are able to pass through this blood-brain barrier. Very small molecular size. They're very volatile, so they evaporate. We inhale them, and we're actually breathing them in. And so they can really, they're different herbs, different flowers, so they can really affect and alter mood, right? These smells, you're not just smelling it, it's actually going into the body. If you put them on you, essential oils have such a small molecular structure that you can find traces of them in your bloodstream after you apply them to your skin. And I read a really interesting study that was talking specifically about lemon oil, and that lemon oil in a study was shown just from smelling the lemon oil, it actually increased the serotonin and the dopamine levels. And again, that's what we were talking about with mood, right? So there was actually this study that showed that there was an increase in dopamine and serotonin. And so, again, it's interesting the way that the brain works. So we can have these memories as we're smelling things, or they can give us a certain mood, and then if we incorporate that into our life, that changes our behavior, and then over a period of time, new behaviors reshape the brain, the chemistry changes in the brain. So there's an awful lot of things that we can actually do, being very conscious about how we're living our life, and applying these really kind of simple rituals into our day that can alter our mood, that can help us, instead of maybe having, not that a glass of wine isn't wonderful, a glass of wine is great, but, if you're having a glass of wine, you really just want to have one glass of wine, it's not super healthy to be drinking lots of alcohol, right? There's downsides to it. Maybe having some nice tea and taking a nice bath. So I love like a nice cup of chamomile tea. And then you make yourself a nice bath, and you can add like a cup or two of epsom salts, and then you can add your favorite, essential oils. It's always a good practice with essential oils to use a carrier base oil. You can use something like grapeseed oil or avocado oil, things you can just get at the grocery store, right? Avocado oil is really great for the skin too. Those don't have a very strong fragrance on their own. Olive oil has a pretty strong smell, although olive oil is great for the skin. It does have a strong smell, so it's not the best if you want to blend oils, but one of the blends I love is a little bit of lemon oil, a little bit of lavender oil, and then I mix that into a base oil of avocado oil. So maybe I would take, like, say, a quarter cup of avocado oil and add maybe 5 to 7 drops of lavender and maybe 4 drops of lemon oil, and make a nice little blend, and then I can add a little bit of that into the bath water. And then, put some candles, some nice soothing music, and then you kind of have a spa experience at home. And it's a great thing to do before bed. Bring your cup of tea and sit in the tub for a good 20 minutes right before bed. And that's a wonderful treat for yourself. And especially take extra care right now with everything going on with the pandemic, okay? Okay, so we're going to bring our guest on today.
Many people are searching for answers to health challenges. There are natural solutions for a healthy and empowered lifestyle that can be delivered right to your door. Email Carol at carolbirchwale.com and type Health with Corey in the subject line to receive a free ebook on essential oils. Visit carolbirchwale.com and connect with Carol via email for your free ebook. She will help you find the natural solutions that work specifically for you.
Okay, I'm back with my guest, Carol Birchwale. I'm so happy to have you here today. How are you doing today, Carol?
I'm doing great, Corey. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you. I miss you. I haven't seen you in a while. Carol and I met on the Big Island, and we have a lot in common. Carol has worked in the spa industry for just a number of years, and she's also a massage therapist and was in the beauty industry. So we're quite aligned in that way. And so I'm going to actually have Carol tell you a little bit more about herself. So Carol, why don't you go ahead and tell our viewers a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you got into what you're doing right now.
Okay, well, so like you said, I've been a massage therapist for I think 34 years now.
Wow.
And that journey started when, quite a while. That journey started when I was hit by a drunk driver. I was going to become a computer programmer. And instead of going to college, I diverted and went to massage school because when I was healing from that accident, the chiropractic care and the hands-on physical therapy that I received were just so beneficial to me. And I was really moved by the massage portion of it. And just that somebody could touch you like that and help you out of pain. So that's what I love. I love when somebody comes into my office and they're hurting, and that I can make a difference in their life and relieve some of their pain most of the time. So
that's awesome. I've had a similar experience in that I worked in a pain clinic for a number of years, and it's deeply rewarding to know that you really are helping people. And wow, I know massage personally, because it can be very taxing on the body and strenuous on the back, but you've been doing it for so many years. It sounds as though you truly did have a remarkable recovery from this this terrible accident that you had. So you attribute a lot of that healing to body work itself then?
absolutely. Body work, massage, chiropractic, taking time to, really listen to what your body's saying to it, right? So when you're having an ache and pain, not like pushing beyond your limits. So it was 6 years ago that the accident happened. And there's aches and pains, but I think those aches and pains are more so now from, being on a massage table for 30 something years. But yeah, it's being mindful and taking the time to rest your body and eat properly and do things that can sustain yourself.
Right. All those things that we talk about. So if you can just give our viewers just a little brief history of your experience in the spa industry, because you were a spa owner from speaking with you, I think you said that you owned 2 spas at one point. Is that correct?
Correct. At one point I did.
Wow.
Yep. So
that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at some point I had 54 or 5 employees between the 2 locations.
Well, now that can cause some body pain right there.
No, there's some stress there. But you know what? I really loved what I did. I loved that I was able to mentor so many. I bumped into a woman that lives in California now that has her own practice. Bumped into her on Facebook. How we talk about our connections on this virtual world.
Yeah.
And she used to work for me. Matter of fact, I gave her her first job in the spa industry. She's a massage therapist.
Wow.
And she reminded me how much I inspired her and how many things she learned from me.
Mm.
And it was so funny. At the time, I thought, I was just doing my job. I was, bring her in, train her, and not realize the impact I had. So not only on my clients, but the people that I've mentored in this industry, and they've grown up and flew the coop and have their own practices and are now that ripple effect, that how many people they're touching. So it's
wonderful.
truly amazing,
It's amazing.
So yeah, it really is. So I was 10 years in the chiropractor's office, and then my motivation originally to open a spa was because I didn't have laundry on site. How silly is that, right? So I had to open a spa.
There you go.
Yeah, so just because I didn't want to carry laundry back and forth home anymore. So
and look at what it did. The trajectory of your life changed from laundry.
Absolutely, through laundry. So opening the spa, and then I met the head of spa body education for a company, and I just casually said, "Oh, I would love to teach, like you're teaching." Mm-hmm. And he said, "Well, fly yourself out here and we'll train you, and then you can, become one of our trainers." And I did that. So I taught spa massage, spa body treatments, and aromatherapy, right? So which has now led me to my new essential oil journey. But it's got roots for 30 something years. But for those 20 years that I taught massage and spa and aromatherapy, it was wonderful. Traveled around mostly the East Coast, but so yeah, that's my background.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And So talking a little bit about this aromatherapy journey, and I know that that seems to be your really main focus at this point in your career, although, we were
Mhm.
speaking and you do have a small little office where you see private clients, but this, I guess you've always had a passion for aromatherapy, but now it has become
Oh.
pretty much the main focus of your professional life. So, uh, tell me just a little bit about that.
So yeah, so essential oils and aromatherapy have been in my world since I started massaging, so we had plain massage oil and it was always nice to scent it with something before I knew what I was doing with oils or any kind of aroma. It was just nice that things smelled nice.
Mhm.
So through that journey, then I had been introduced to many different essential oil companies and just, started gaining more information. And then that 20 years that I taught, gained a whole lot more information and just realized the power of pure essential oils and how important it is for oils to be pure and natural. And a lot of them out there are not. But,
Mhm.
when you can get your hands on some amazing oils, they're so powerful, So, like everybody knows lavender, right? Lavender is the
Mhm.
go-to to relax. And it's because there's compounds, chemical compounds, natural, right, that are in lavender that actually work on the body to soothe and slow down your pace, slow your breathing, slow your nervous
Mhm.
system. And it's a relaxing oil. You put a little lavender on your feet at night and you sleep through the night. It's really
Right. Okay.
powerful.
Well, so this is really great. You're getting into kind of what I wanted to ask you about, what I wanted to get into, and both Carol and I have been in the spa industry for a number of years, and so we were discussing, especially with the pandemic going on, and a lot of transition and a
Mm.
lot of change. It's putting a lot of pressure on people. People are getting a little, bummed out and really trying to keep your moods up and so much transition and unexpected stuff. And I know for me, one of the things that I do for my own self-care is I visit the spa and I go and I get my massage and I get my treatments. And now we are in this state where it's hard to know from one day to the next. I know, like, I haven't been
Right.
working in the spa since March. We don't know when we'll open again. And so all of those clients that we serve are not able to necessarily get those services. So uh, I wanted to first ask you, if individuals were interested in acquiring essential oils, maybe you can give me the top three that you would recommend that they keep on hand at home to always have in your little bathroom medicine cabinet or kitchen cabinet, right? and uh,
Absolutely.
and also, how can they use these oils at home to maybe do some self-care or at home little spa journeys for themselves, especially now, maybe to help settle the mood, help with relaxation, help induce, a calm state of mind, or perhaps uplift the spirit, if people are feeling a bit down or something, I know that scents can be very, very powerful.
They are very powerful. So you're asking a lot of great questions. Like, so the top three oils, right? Like everybody knows lavender, peppermint, and lemon. Lavender it's, I think when people think aromatherapy, they think lavender, right? But then the other two, lemon and peppermint, those three are so diverse, and they're basic, but have so many uses. So lavender is great, like I said, to relax. You can use it topically on your skin, massaging your feet at night. It's nice, that little bit of self-care. It's like, I say, your feet hold you up all day long. You can thank them for just a minute before you go to bed, and it'll help you sleep through the night. And then lemon oil. Lemon's very refreshing. It's very uplifting. I call it a happy oil, right? You smell lemon and you smile. It's it's really
That's
that
true.
instance.
That's true.
right? So a great way to use lemon is in a diffuser. There's lots of diffusers out there these days. I've noticed, you know.
What does
So
a
they're
diffuser do, you know, for our audience if they're not familiar with what even is a diffuser?
okay. So a diffuser is typically, I like the water diffusers, right? There's some different styles that you can find out there, but typically you put in a water bath, put some oil in the water, and the diffuser nebulizes the water, so it becomes a vapor, and then that's why you can smell it. So essential oils are what we call volatile by nature. That just means they go from a liquid to a gas very easily. So when the diffuser is helping the water and the oil, you know, nebulize into the air, those molecules are floating around in the air and you're breathing them in, which is why you can smell them. So they have an effect on the body. And literally, when you smell something, there's a chemical reaction. Your body comes in contact, you know, the aroma receptors receive that aroma molecule, and it's like blocks. You know, you ever the children's toy where there's circle, star, and square, right? So they have to fit in. So these molecules, when they go into your olfactory area, the receptors are like they're matched. So when they match up, it's your brain knows what that is. And there's different chemicals that are released. So like, for instance, for lavender, there's hormones released that calm you, right? And when you experience something like lemon, it's more of an uplifting aroma. So, and these
And
are
how about
different.
peppermint?
So
Because you were
peppermint,
talking about peppermint. So
yep. So peppermint, similar in a reaction to lemon. It's very uplifting. It's very energizing. I love peppermint when I'm feeling a little bit sleepy maybe, and I still have to get some work done. Drop a peppermint, lifts your, you know, lifts your energy. It really does that. It's very cooling on the skin. So it's another great thing about peppermint. Like if you have a sore muscle or a ache or a pain, you can put a little peppermint on that area, and it's very soothing to joint and muscle pain. So it's another staple. It's a great oil to have around. Yep.
and I know it's good to put in like a carrier oil. Oftentimes I'll use a little coconut or a little avocado oil so it doesn't burn the skin. But you know, I know for peppermint, one of the things I personally like to use it for is, not that we're traveling right now a whole lot, but I know like after a long flight and your feet, sometimes you can get swelling. And sometimes I just really like to give my feet a nice rub with some, you know, I like to use the avocado oil, and I mix some peppermint and I just give my feet a nice like rub, and it really seems to help kind of reduce like swelling from, you know, sitting on the plane and traveling. I don't
It
know if
really
you've had that
does.
same experience.
I haven't specifically used it that way, but absolutely. Yeah, because it's really cooling. So it's going to absolutely help your feet feel better. It's really refreshing. So that's a great thing to do. And as you would say with the carrier oils, it's always a good idea to dilute with a carrier oil. Some oils are, you know, not that sensitive on your skin, but basically what you want to look at is when you put oil on your skin by itself, an essential oil, it's volatile. So some of it's going to soak into the skin, and a lot of it's going to what we call flash off. And that's why you can smell it, because it's up into the air, right? So with a carrier oil, one, you're going to keep it down. It's going to stay on the skin in that area better. And it's going to stay in the area that you put it, as opposed to move through the body quicker. And how that works is because essential oil molecules are very tiny. So a carrier oil like avocado or coconut oil or any of them, the molecule is a little bit bigger. So it holds onto it, and it holds it in the area, and it holds it down next to your skin. And like you said, it's a dilution. So if there is a sensitivity, it's going to be better received by the skin with a carrier oil.
Makes sense. And I think the rule of thumb when I was taking aromatherapy eons ago, it feels like, that when you say neat, you know, when you directly apply it, it's called, if you apply it neat. And the two that were safe were always lavender and tea tree. And then I just learned that anything else, just always put in a base or carrier oil, like you're saying, just to avoid. I know that I've learned also through trial and error. And I think at one point I even used a little cinnamon oil in a bathtub once. And
Ooh, not
yeah,
a great idea.
I really learned the hard way. But you were mentioning molecular size, and I did mention that earlier. And because they do have such a tiny molecular size, and you have that heavier oil than opposed to them, say, evaporating into the air, right? They actually are pushed down and into the bloodstream. And I know that from my own research and my own training, some essential oils can be seen in the bloodstream within like 10 minutes because they have such a small molecular size. So that's kind of amazing. They're very, very potent, very powerful. Again, you do say you want to have those really quality oils. You don't want to be putting something that's not a very high quality. And I've always in the past looked for, say, medical grade or food grade. And then food grade being said, you know, if you think of things like peppermint oil or wintergreen oil or cinnamon even, a lot of these, even lemon, are used as like food flavorings and things like that. But now what would you say to our viewers if they say, oh, they have this bottle of peppermint and they think, oh, I'm gonna add some to my water, and you know, where is that like cautionary level that you would give to our audience?
Okay, well, there's a couple things you touched on that I want to make mention of. But first, yeah, there are things that you can use in cooking, but I would be very, very discerning about what oils. There are very, very few companies, if only one or two, that truly have pure oils that would be safe to utilize that way, like to put a drop of lemon in your water. I would never use any essential oil. If you bought it in one of the big shop stores, it's not the oil you want to be putting into your food or your water. And then like wintergreen is used in the food industry for flavorings, but it's not the whole wintergreen essential oil, because wintergreen essential oil is highly toxic in the body. So that's something, you know, and I've heard of people making that mistake, and it's really, you know, it's serious. You have to know what's safe and what isn't.
Exactly.
So I would never put any oils in my food or take them internally unless I saw the research behind the bottle. So, and if you're buying it in the grocery store or in the health food store, you don't really know. So make sure you put that extra effort in to find out. But
it's not something
oil,
to just play around with. You know,
no,
you definitely
no,
want
like
to educate yourself, right? You want to educate yourself and be very aware. And I did touch on wintergreen because it is salicylic acid or a derivative. And so it can be used. I know that it's traditionally used a little topically to help with pain, but that being said, too much of it can be quite toxic. So, you know, you always want to err on the side of caution with essential oils, and you want to do your research and make sure you're not just haphazardly throwing them together like they're benign, because they're very powerful, and they have been used as medicines and still are used as medicine in certain, in naturopathic remedies and things of that nature, right? So just because something is natural and herbal and purely derived does not necessarily mean that you can just use it freely without caution. I think that's an important thing, right? So,
absolutely,
okay.
absolutely.
So I'm so happy that you joined me today, and I just wanted to let our viewers know. So if they want to get a hold of you, they want to learn more about essential oils or find out how to purchase or where to purchase, where would you recommend they go visit? I think your website, right? I think that
right. That would be the easiest, is carolbirchwale.com, and that's how you can reach me, is just go to my website. But before we move, there was something you said earlier about being topical, right, and being careful with things. Citrus oils, because we're talking about lemon, lavender, and peppermint a lot. So lemon oil, putting it on topically, all the citruses are photosensitive. So you
Mhm.
don't want to put lemon on the skin and then go into the sun. It'll
Right.
increase your burn time. So
Good
yeah,
point.
you do want to learn, and you can go to my website, and that's how you can contact me if you want
Okay.
to learn more about it.
Yeah, and so I think people can learn all about oils and find out where to purchase them. And I know that you've been a wonderful resource for me as well. And so Carol's great. You can ask her questions and she can direct you and help you out. So again, that's carolbirchwale.com. And I wanted to thank you so much for joining us today and giving us all this wonderful information for our viewers. And I hope that they can take some of this and use some of your at-home self-care tips and kind of help everybody get through this kind of crazy pandemic time.
It is a crazy time. And
Crazy
oils are a
time.
great way to support yourself. So
And
yeah.
we all need as much support as we can get right now, let me tell you. Thank you for coming,
Absolutely.
Carol. Thank you
My
so
pleasure,
much.
Corey. Thanks for having
Aloha.
me.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Many people are searching for answers to health challenges. There are natural solutions for a healthy and empowered lifestyle that can be delivered right to your door. Email Carol at carolbirchwale.com and type Health with Corey in the subject line to receive a free ebook on essential oils. Visit carolbirchwale.com and connect with Carol via email for your free ebook. She will help you find the natural solutions that work specifically for you.
Visit CoreyGala.com and schedule your wellness consultation to receive a custom-designed, scientifically sound behavior action plan that is holistically based. Browse the website and enjoy free articles and valuable health and beauty information. Receive your free holistic skincare ebook. CoreyGala.com.
Hi, I'm Maria Rene Davila, founder of the Successful Women in Business and Chief Executive Officer of the Global Trade Chamber. During this global pandemic, many small businesses are struggling to survive and find new clients. We have created a great opportunity for you. For the first time ever, we present the 100 Successful Women in Business live virtual convention. 5 reasons why you cannot miss this fabulous event. Learn from global experts at the conference. Meet the incredible women leaders being recognized from many nations. Visit the Business Virtual Expo. Network and introduce yourself to other business owners. Receive a complimentary copy of the Global Trade Chamber digital magazine. And don't forget the International Fashion Show. We have a very special gift for you to participate. 50% off of all packages participating in this fabulous event now. Visit our website www.100swb.com. I hope to see you there.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to being with you again next week. Take good care and aloha.